Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens. So, it's great. Wow, we've had a lot of great episodes thus far with this season, and it's been a great, lots of sets of topics that we've had and explored. But it started to occur to me that a lot of the listeners and the feedback that I've gotten on social media from people is saying that, you know, you're a young host, you have this show, there's a lot of people that are on your show that are like your age, and you don't really focus on the people that's on the other spectrum. And there was this, you know, conversation I had with people about like people in the media, mentors, and what does that look like in this generation with so much social media and so much, I guess you could say, this higher up of new faces, younger faces emerging in the platform. And it made me start thinking to myself, how many people, what is the issues and I guess a lot of the clashing that takes place with people in any structure, especially in urban communities and also in the civil rights era of our generation, like what is going on between those rifts? There's a generational gap that I think is happening currently in this country, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize it more so now than they did when we first started to talk about Black Lives Matter 2 years ago, that there is this disproportion of people that are set in their ways. Whether they're those who say the generation now is so rebellious. I was the other day, I was with a group of friends, and we were talking about the past and the current people. There's a couple of people that are saying, oh, this generation's, it's the end of the world. Social media is happening. People are fighting each other and putting things on Vine. It's the end of the world. And someone older said, well, a long time ago when there was MTV, people thought it was going to be the end of the world. When there were these music videos, people thought that the generation before them was a mess. And now, here is social media, here's Vine, here's these other things that's going on, and the same thing is being said, and it's beginning to be another gap that's widening. So I'm wondering, from different people from different generations, not mine, I'm considered a millennial, is this something that you noticed? Are you on this side of the spectrum? Do you personally think that, you know, our generation's messing everything up before, whether that's in social, you know, activism? I mean, I've heard it, you know, I hear ministers and community organizers in Philadelphia constantly say, this generation, these kids, that's what they say, these kids don't want to do anything right. They're not motivated like we used to be. But then they talk about the statistics that happen. They talk about all the different numbers and facts. And then I think when I look at history and the stuff I studied at Penn, you look in the 90s, there was drugs and rap music and, you know, gangster rap and all that stuff. And I think the parents came out okay. My parents are fine. I don't think there was anything crazy, but apparently now our generation's getting burdened with this, and I'm wondering if there is any legitimacy to that. Anyone here in this audience have any thoughts about these issues? Anything that they think raising their kids today, do you think we're worse now? Or do you think there's a legitimate reason? I'm curious. Anyone? Yes. Please come up. What's your name?
My name is Dave.
All right, Dave.
And, I do think that the younger generation is worse, but I can't blame the younger generation.
Oh.
I have to blame my peers. Here's why. I grew up in a time where you had to earn everything. If I wanted money, I had to shovel snow or cut grass or, you know, mow the lawn, whatever the case may be. I had to wash the baseboards, the whole nine, and you couldn't go to bed without cleaning up the kitchen. Now, just by virtue of your children being born, we act like they walk on water and heal palsy children and make blind men see. Like it's to a point where we have this thing with our children where we constantly worship them. And then we turn around and say, oh, these kids are bad. They have all this technology. Who bought it? They have, the churches and the ministers and the community leaders are really mad at the younger generation because they're not contributing with their tithes because they don't appeal to that generation to bring them into the church. So that becomes problematic.
Okay.
So when you start talking about the real issue, it comes down to understanding that there is no accountability from the parents. From my generation, I have a 16-year-old and she's your intern. You know what I mean? Like, so it's about how you raise your children, and I think she's spoiled absolutely rotten, but I temper that, you know, with consequences and repercussions, because that's what parents do. You love your children, but you give them a microcosm of the real world. We don't do that. We allow TV, the internet, and everybody else to influence our children, and then we wonder why all these things are influencing our children, because we're not influencing our children.
Give them a round of applause. Well then, so the internet's raising us. We're becoming raised by internet. But weren't you all raised by MTV? Weren't you all raised by the TV set? No? People disagree. People disagree. You are.
Yes, I was.
Come up and tell us this. Someone says their mother raised you, and you say you was raised by TV. What's your name? Talk to us.
My name is Ari Gibson Pfeiffer.
Hi.
I was raised on television. Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I was a graduate of Penn too. So.
Oh, wonderful. High five.
Quakers.
Quakers.
But yes, I grew up on television. I learned how to tell time by television. And I am Generation X. We are the first group who ever went on our own to start building our own. But prior to us, parents were like, oh, you go, you get an education, and then you go work for someone else. Generation X is the first generation that said, no, I want to do it my way.
Wow.
So the thing is, we didn't grow up on MTV. MTV came after we were growing up. But I did Flintstones, Brady Bunch, I did everything. I went to graduate from the University of Pennsylvania. I've been a television producer for Fox, ABC, NBC. I did all of this, and I lived with television all day, every day. Like literally learned how to tell time by television. Okay. Flintstones came on at 4, Brady Bunch came on at 5, then it was time to eat dinner.
That's true.
Now, the kids today, the problem I have with, and I hate saying that because it makes me old, but the problem that I have with children today, well, not even children, young adults, you guys have a false sense of entitlement. You think things are just supposed to be given. You think things are supposed to be just given to you. But that's also, like you said, that's due to my generation. Yep. And it bothers me. That's due to our school systems. That's due to black people babying black kids. But when you get out in the real world, that's not what you get. And I learned that the hard way because I was always told as long as I was good at everything, everyone would love me. But you get out into the real world, it doesn't matter if you're good enough. They're looking at more than whether you're good enough. They're looking at your color of your skin. They don't want you to be better than them. Yeah. You know, it's not like you're told. So my thing is, I feel as though we should teach children just as hard as they treat them in the streets growing up. Once they become adults, you don't get second chances. You barely get third chances.
Interesting.
But yeah, the young people, you guys have a false sense of entitlement. You think things should just come to you. You guys have no idea of what hard work is. Yep. And then you have other ones out there who have they weren't even raised properly. Because babies are raising babies. I mean, back in the day, you got kids walking down the street scaring older people. Back in the day, when I was growing up, if we saw an older person, we could be smoking, we could be cursing. But the minute we saw an elder, everything got straight. And I think we need to go back to whooping the behinds. The problem is, black people try to assimilate to white people. Yep. Everything's not for us. Dr. Spock told them not to beat their kids. He didn't tell us not to beat our kids. Our kids need to be beat. Everybody I know who got a whooping and a spanking, my age or older, they're fine. I've never been in jail. I've never been in the back of a police car. I've never had handcuffs. Ernest, get your people together.
So,
you did that.
So, as you can see, there's a interesting lashing that I'm receiving, or beating per se.
No, just a perspective.
Perspective, fine, perspective. I don't know. I got whippings when I was little. Sometimes.
That's why you're a good guy.
Thank you.
That's a true story.
Yeah. But it's at the same time, I do think that there's a little bit more time to digress because I think our parents, or at least my parents, you look at kids like Michael Jackson, the late Michael Jackson. You saw those kids go through that. Like, they were talented, they were perfectionists, but they didn't have the same level of confidence, and maybe the self-entitlement that you feel comes from the confidence that we now have. Maybe, no confidence. What's wrong with confidence?
You guys have too much confidence.
Too much confidence.
And you're not even as smart. It's arrogant.
That's
true. It's arrogant.
But a lot of the kids get that from the parenting because those books came out that you all had. Those, 10 ways to know you're expecting. I remember that book.
Dr. Spock and his people.
Dr. Spock and his people. Well, those books were the books that parents use to raise their kids. The whole tennis moms, you know, the whole, you know, everyone gets a gold medal. We got those things. We were raised on those things, and it made our confidence high, but maybe something was lacking.
Skills.
Millennial? Another millennial? Someone to help me with this? What do you think? What do you think? Come up closer. What do you think's wrong? I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, so I took a class, a pop culture class at Penn, and it basically said that our generation is full of narcissists, but our parents tell us that, you know, we're great and we're always going to do good, especially young black men. So like a lot of people have this Kanye complex where their mothers tell them that they're great and they're exceptional, and then they grow up always thinking that. And so, yeah, I think like our generation is narcissistic in a way. Yes. But I also think like the older generation can be nostalgic and just wants everything to stay the same when with technology, like it's not staying the same, the world is changing, and it's like you either get with it or you just stay where you are. So
right, complacency. And this show is absolutely not a complacent show. But there has to be some antithesis. You know, I think someone in this audience wanted to add something about this idea about winning too many awards. And you know, I used to, you know, I won all my first place medals myself. But I do know it annoyed me how many people got honorable mention. You can't have 5 honorable mentions. If there's 8 people, okay, competing, you have the first, second, and third, and then the rest were honorable mention. Then that was everybody else. So everybody else walked with a medal. It's annoying me. I used to, you know, my parents were so hard on me about that I couldn't even really keep my honorable mention medals. I was like, what this for? I'm like, I learned something. It's like, no, you didn't win anything. But what do you think about this? What's your name?
My name is Donna Lady G.
Oh, wonderful.
So what I would like to say, sounds like you had great parents
yes.
who raised you and did not have TV or anything else raise you. What I would like to say to add to this conversation is I am afraid for you guys, for the millennials, because you do not have social skills. You do not know how to socially engage another human being. I know that when we were being raised, we went outside and we played. And we played ball, we got to know each other, we fought, we learned conflict resolution, we learned how to forge relationships. But now everybody is looking down at this screen to friends who really aren't their friends, and followers who that if your car broke down, they wouldn't even come. If you posted, my car's broken down, I need somebody to come to help me.
Like.
Well, nobody volunteered to come to help me. You know,
sounds bad. Help my friend out, but you're the friend.
Exactly. And now we're on Periscope now because I just joined.
Right.
It's like, look at me. You know, no one, and they'll hit the heart and like your live stream, but no one's coming to help. So my main concern is, in addition to what's already been stated, is you guys being socially retarded and not knowing how to get in touch with yourself and then have proper relationships with others. I know that in our generation they say that the divorce rate is 50%. It's greater in your, because as soon as a conflict arises and you're not the person I thought you were based on your profile, I'm out. I'm bouncing. And everybody's a hater. Everybody's not a hater.
That's the second round pass for that. I agree with that. I agree with you.
Like, everybody's not a hater. Like, a true friend would tell you the truth.
Yes.
And then I don't have to be cut off just because I spoke to you. But unfortunately, if it's not spoken in love, then it's like, oh, well, you're a hater. No, I'm trying to tell you the truth so that you can be a better person. So, I agree with the gentleman that was before me, where he said that parents are not raising their children. And honestly, I think some of that might come from people who having real issues with infertility. And so you prayed or you paid thousands of dollars to be able to get pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And then you have a child and it's like, oh my God, as he said, like they walk on water or they heal the blind and the deaf. And no, your child's rotten. You know, like your child should not be telling you what to do. You understand? I don't think it's anything wrong with a parent raising their child. So many parents are afraid of their children. I have a problem with that too. I'm not afraid of your child. So I'll speak to your child. If you didn't teach your child how to respect me, I will. Believe it. I'm a youth leader at my church. I don't play. And even if it's a child, like your parent let you run crazy,
yes.
you speak to an adult any way you feel as though, but children, they like discipline. When you teach them, that's not how you speak to me. You address me as Miss Donna. They'll call everybody else by their first name. You get to meet Miss Donna. Absolutely. So that's just my point of view on the millennials. But I absolutely think you guys are innovative. I think you are cutting edge. I think that as long as there's some type of leadership for you guys, because I think you jump on anything because you're looking for like some kind of guidance because you didn't get it at home. You're looking for the world to guide you. You have all this innovative creativity, this great energy that I love, and I think the world's going to prosper from it. But it's just that it's unfortunate because you guys are looking for something to latch on to identify with, because you weren't given that identity when you were at home.
Very in-depth. Very in-depth. Lots to soak in. Lots to soak in. But I do have some serious critiques. I have some notes. Because this portion of this episode has been dominated by the generations before me saying, we're rotten, we're self-entitled. And they'll take a little bit of it, right? They'll take a little bit of credit, right? They'll say, oh, we spoiled you. But even in our community, the leadership that is there hardly is not there. Amen. It's not there. It's not. There are people who don't care. Let's just be honest. They're not all open in their hands and trying. And then even the politicians and the local people, what you say there.
I said, people are afraid of you guys. Don't talk to them. Don't say nothing to them. Because when I'm out and I see a kid doing something wrong, because it's about how you approach me. I talk to them like, yo, do you really want to do it, blah, blah, blah. But you get adults, these adults are afraid of y'all. They don't say nothing to them. They'll shoot you. They'll do this to you.
There is a fear, but there's people, I think, also, in my experiences, that are scared of us, not necessarily scared of us in the physical sense, but scared of us professionally, socially. I've been in rooms where... I've been in professional settings where there have been people who have aspired to do the type of career work that I've done in office settings, in academic settings, where the skills, the ages are different, but the skills are being desired at a different level. So there's chances where I've been in rooms where my knowledge and wisdom and technology was needed to be applied to certain other fields. And that person had the, business sense, but they didn't have the innovation sense. And so there was that type of enviness that took place that I think a lot of older people are looking at us in that range where they feel like they have to catch up. And they don't want to ask us because they feel like they're entitled. There's a sense of entitlement from them not to want to grow and evolve, which I think was somewhat mentioned earlier. But this idea that, I don't want to talk to the new generation about these issues. The way in which we identify ourselves on social, cultural, and political levels, the kind of conversations we're having now that we didn't have back then, a lot of that is happening through social media as well. Social media isn't just garbage. It's not just Vanity Fair. It's not just selfies. It's not just that. There is a good chunk of that, but a lot of good stuff has been tainted. I mean, think about BT. Oops. My parents tell me of a time when there was good programming on those channels.
When it was black owned.
When it was black owned.
No, it wasn't.
You don't agree?
Because I've worked with them.
You've worked with them before. We have experts saying otherwise. But there was a time when television in general was a little bit more colorful and a little bit more bright. There was Saturday morning cartoons. And I benefited at that level then, that now I'm kind of, we don't see it as much now. There's a 24-hour cartoon show, which kind of, I think, devolved. I'm talking about something else, but it diluted it. It just, now that you can just get it now for 24 hours, there's no point in doing it in the morning, even though there was some value in the morning because it helped you wake up, and I was able to tell time that way is the same. But I think that now there is this lack of people wanting to step into that role. Or they use us or abuse the new interns, right? They want us to just be behind their missions. They don't want us to challenge. There's a pushback now, I think, with youth being pushed. The generational gap in leadership and civil rights. There are kids like myself and many others that are young adults that want to help. They want to be a part. They want to learn. But I think a lot of the old heads, as we say, a lot of them in control don't care as much. They don't. They want us to do it their way. They want us to dress their way. They want us to talk their way. They want us to look their way. They want us to have all of that. You know, the way they talk to girls, those respectability politics. You're wearing pants, and I'm like, girls wear pants. In our day, girls wear dresses, and the boys, all the boys. What will see you guys are from that generation? You guys are Generation X. Generation X? Yes, but the thing is that there's that.
We are a great generation. We're the generation who created the computers for you.
Okay.
And the social network. That's our generation.
Well, there's generation before that.
Yeah,
talking about the boomers.
But the boomers are still in control.
Absolutely.
Financially, economically, they have money. Am I lying when I'm saying that? We don't.
Y'all home.
Okay.
Y'all live home.
We're at home.
Parents are still paying your credit card. And excuse me, your what's it called? Cell phones.
Cell phone bills.
Yes, that's side of it.
Yeah, yes. Okay, but the point is that I think there is there's still this guard where even the ones who are, for example, there's a famous guy, who is in media today. He's got a PhD. He's got this doctorate. He's on he's like the only black guy I think that's on TV, on those commentary. There's a guy in this field, and you know, for me, we went to the same school. We know the same people. But in the event in which we have disagreements, automatically what my thoughts are, my disagreements, my assumptions are knocked out the way because of age. So I am not entitled to have not an opinion to these issues, these causes, these challenges. A lot of people use their age, and we have to be in our community. Not all of us do, right? Not all, right? There's not all bad cops. There's not always all bad people. But there are a lot of those in power that use their age as their pedigree and their pedigree alone. And in the words of my late grandmother used to say, that age, you can still be a dumb old fool. And you can, like, is that, can you not agree with that?
That's what we are. I don't agree with that.
Come, please.
I gotta come.
Yes. Yes.
Miss, I want to sit in the bench.
This is so raw. Yes.
I don't agree. Actually, I disagree. I mean, you do have older generations that are like that. That's one of the problems, because when we were growing up, they didn't want to teach us anything because they were afraid we were going to take over. So as adults and as parents, we couldn't teach our kids anything. And now you still got these old heads running, but when they get done, who's going to take over?
Right.
Now, the situation that you're talking about, you always get older people talking about, I can't believe you wear your pants up. I don't do that. We had our stuff back in the day. Y'all twerk, we did the butt. Okay? So this is different.
Yes.
You feel me?
Yes.
So I don't look at it like that. Everybody has your thing. If you want to walk around with your pants hanging down, be my guest. Okay? I judge you on how you approach me. Okay, not what you look like and not how old you are. Because your grandmama was right. But it's a thing of, it's not that they don't acknowledge you guys or appreciate you guys. It's the same thing with black people. It's the same thing with police. Yes, there are good black people. There are good police. But how do you tell the difference? And that's the same thing with your generation. You do have young adults like you who are socially minded and correct and want to help, but the majority of your community, the majority of the kids, they don't want to help. They messed up the Greek picnic by raping girls. Did y'all go to Greek picnic? You go to Greek picnic? Greek picnic got shut down because of your generation.
Well, you're in sorority.
Your Greek picnic, that's all you need to know. Greek picnic got because of your generation. And these kids, half these kids didn't even go to school. But they were raping girls and everything. That's why the older generation has a problem with your generation. It's not you per se,
right.
But y'all all, how do we tell the difference? How do I tell whether you're a good guy or a bad guy unless I talk to you?
Right.
And that's what it comes down to.
Fair enough. So, my generation is marred by sex, crime, and misogyny. Come.
All right.
Fine. You know, I want to get this in real quick. Where does this come from? We didn't make misogyny. You know, in the words of Malcolm X, you know, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. It's the same thing. These type of skills, this type of ignorance and foolishness. We didn't create that. Those things happened. It was not our fault. And it's not just the media's fault either. Don't blame the media, always.
When the older generation tends to diminish what it is that you're saying, there's only one or two reasons. In your particular case with that particular individual who I know very well, it comes down to there's only a few of you, meaning that there's only a few black people who can actually back it up, and you're younger, you're more flamboyant, you're more personable, and so he fears that. So there's that. Now, the problem is you are an exception, you are an anomaly. When people talk about a Kanye complex, what they fail to realize is that Kanye came from a college professor's womb. Okay, so the man he has genius level talent. He's an anomaly. The majority of your generation don't have the skills to back up their ego. I don't have an issue with an ego. I have a very massive ego. I have no issue with social networking. I own a social network. The difference is I can back up everything I'm saying.
That's right.
The majority of your generation can't. They have no skills.
So they have the receipts.
No.
Okay, they don't have the receipts. They don't have the receipts. So my generation walk around like I have a big bank account, a big ego, but they don't have the receipts. Someone from the millennial side comes in with this debate. This is intense.
Whose fault is that? Because like you guys said that
you have to speak up. You have to represent your generation here.
Older people are saying that TV raises. So a person not gonna have those skills. So that's why the older generation is supposed to guide and serve as a mentors, and that's really the problem, is that there aren't that many older mentors, because like you were just talking about, they just want to keep it for themselves. So I don't really think it's our fault that we don't have those skills. The people before us were supposed to lay the foundation so we can have those skills.
Right. So what I've gotten from this show, we have a 30-minute program, ladies and gentlemen. So I get the last word. No, I'm joking. But in reality, what I've learned from this show, the generation gap is intense. We don't have all the answers today. We won't have all the answers tomorrow. But what we do recognize is that it's not a one for all. It's not all of the people before us fault. And my fellow millennials watching this show, most of you with the hashtag Ernestly speaking and all that, you guys are too busy doing that than doing some other things. We don't look at ourselves in the mirror long enough to reflect on our own selves. We don't take time to listen to people older than us, and we don't take time to put our head in our books and produce those receipts. Because I do feel like even people in my generation feel like they can do what I do, and I'm like, not that there's no shade, but there's people within my own generation that feels like everything should be easy. I can be a journalist overnight if I make a Tumblr account. I'm like, no, you might want to go to school for that. So it's a lot of hard set skills that we have to do in our community, and eventually we'll get there. I think we do. I think we need to incorporate and embrace the now, but we have to go back and understand why. No one's taking time to figure out why. I think more people are so focused on the current now, the problem, but they're not looking at what caused the problem to hopefully find a solution. So that's all, folks, for now, and thank you guys for listening. Thank you so much.